Cheeky Arvo stream. Haha. Yes. Cheeky Arvo stream it is. I was going to do a recorded session for this match, but I'm pretty happy to actually play this out on stream and see how it goes. Which is a cheeky Brainstorm deck. But probably not as you think it is. I'm quickly going to upload the deck list. Nice. Hey Rain, welcome. Hope you're well. All right, a couple lives updated. We are live. Let's quickly set this up. So. Nice, that's what I want. All right, hey, welcome. Welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a new take on BANT Maverick. So I've done a deck tech on YouTube that I was going to turn this into a recorded match-by-match series and playlist, but I think just playing it live is pretty fun as well. So this is, of course, BANT Maverick with a little bit of a twist. We are playing Brainstorm, which is kind of cool. Brainstorm has seen playing Maverick before. In the early 2010s, we saw BANT Maverick come out with Brainstorm in the deck, and other cards like Rock's Warmonk that sadly haven't survived the legacy format since then. But Brainstorm accomplishes a few things in regards to what I've been having troubles with in Maverick. So Maverick doesn't have a great control of the top of its deck outside of Sylvan Library. And a lot of the games that I've been losing to, I've been drawing irrelevant bullets. So Scavenging Ooze or Collector Ouphe against decks that don't really care about them. Late game mana talks definitely don't feel great. And also just running out of gas. There's been a few points where we've just drawn, 3 lands in a row, which is great. It's variance. It's going to happen, especially in a deck that doesn't run cards like Brainstorm or Ponder. So I thought it's worth testing out. Legacy's not in a great spot for Mother of Runes, so a lot of lists haven't been running Mum. I've been playing around with Once Upon a Time and a few other decks. So I do really like Brainstorm because it gives me an opportunity to hopefully fill the void of those errors. So we'll see how that goes. With the blue splash, we also get Oko, of course, which is really nice, and Teferi, which is nice. And then in the sideboard, we actually have no blue cards. It's really just the Uro, the Teferi, the Oko, which I think are worth it. And Brainstorm, of course, could be great, but we'll see how it goes. I've had a little bit of a play around with this deck. It's been pretty fun. We still have a pretty good Green Suns package with Sylvan Safekeeper for protection when we need it. We have Scryb Ranger for some shenanigans and also great against the Delver decks. Uro is not a card that I traditionally Green Suns for, but it's just so powerful that it's great to have it in the deck. Also turning on our graveyard as a resource is really nice. So instead of just having Scavenging Ooze, which can be used to use the graveyard, Uro is pretty nice as well because we can actually hopefully take better advantage of it. Questing Beast I'm just a massive fan of. And then Collector Ouphe, Skoos, and Night of Autumn, kind of for the combo matchups. I'm only running 2 Thalias. Thalia, again, just isn't that well positioned right now, especially against the Dreadhorde Arcanist decks. And running Brainstorm, I don't want to run the full 4, so I'm happy to have 2 in the deck. I think 2 is fine. I am running a Gilded Goose over the second Birds of Paradise, which is a little bit... I have run Gilded Goose in the past and been caught out where I just didn't have the food to sack, but I think it's okay in this list. I do like it as well with Oko, of course, so that's going to be pretty interesting. And the O2 power can just be relevant as well, especially against an unflipped Delver, a Goblin Lackey. There's a few things where you can get marginal life points deducted, and sometimes that adds up to an extra turn, which is pretty nice. But I think the best thing that we can do is just put this through a league and see how it performs. Because, yeah, it's going to be pretty fun playing with Brainstorm. Not a card that I have played too much with, but obviously a very powerful card. Push this up. Nice. But yeah, I hope you guys are well. Hey, the Pit, a huge thank you. We're just getting started with the league, which is really nice. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys had fun. What did you play on the Legacy Pit today? Because I think you were going through a few other decks recently, which is kind of cool. You had some user submitted lists, I believe, or at least user submitted decks that they wanted to see on camera, which is pretty cool. A lot of fair creature matchups. That's my type of Magic. That's pretty cool. What am I playing tonight? I'm playing BANT Maverick, but I'm changing it up a little bit, and I'm running a version with Brainstorm, which just in the sort of pre-game show, I just went over some of the downfalls I've been going with. I've been finding with Maverick, and I think the Brainstorm might actually help, so we'll see how that goes. Hey, Nathan, welcome. Hey, Decent, thanks for the host. That's really nice. Yeah, it should be pretty fun. I think the Brainstorm... Maverick is already a deck that has a lot of consistency, which is great, but I think that Brainstorm can help with some of the top decking, and also just make sure we're drawing the right bullets against the right decks. Hey, Portrait of Sanity, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? But yeah, I think Maverick's in a pretty cool spot. I know that Mark Strassman is having some really good success with punishing Maverick, aka green, red, white Maverick. Not so much playing it, but not so much playing punishing fire, but also just playing clots and pyroblast effects are really good. I think Maverick is still considered Maverick with Brainstorm in it, but unfortunately, it hasn't seen Brainstorm play for a little while. Up against Math Guy. This is most likely a mulligan. I think it's just not good enough against the decks where Swords to Plowshares is dead. So I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. I don't want to get caught up against Storm or some sort of control deck that only runs, Icewind Guardles or something like that. I think there is a better 6, especially on the play. Pretty rough. I am going to keep this 6, but it is going to be 2 lands, 3 3-drops, and a Swords, which isn't fantastic. There could be a better 5, but it's really tough right now, especially with the Legacy metagame going to 5 cards. Our only real way to buy back some of those cards is through Sylvan Library and Uro to some extent. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this and drop the Questing Beast. Just a bit too big here. I'm going to lead on the Windswept as well, because I don't want to get Wasteland at turn 1. Windswept, we can also hold up Swords if we wish. We can get something like Tundra, which turns on all our colors. Alright. What have you got, Math Guy? I don't believe we've played before, so I'm not too sure what they're on. Yeah, DC, you're 100% correct. Mark is a beast on punishing. Yeah, 100%. The Trop is interesting. I wonder if they're holding up Stifle. I'm in no rush to fetch, which is nice. And at least here we can also just hold up the Swords to Plowshares. They're going to ponder. I could fetch if I really wanted to play around Stifle here, but I'm pretty happy just to allow this to happen. So here I think that we know that Questing Beast is at the bottom. I do want to untap and hit a land. So the question is, do I want to Brainstorm here so I can hopefully set up a land next turn guaranteed? We do have a few 2-drops in the deck that we can draw into, but I think just drawing a land is the best thing we can do here, so we can fetch, we can grab a Tundra and have double white up. I think that's better than Trop. Against Rug though, maybe I want a late game Scavenging Ooze to take over the game, which means I want as many green sources as possible, so I think the Trop here is fine. Haha! Classic. Okay. So we do get locked, which is definitely a pretty tough time when we don't have the fetch land here, but I think that's okay. I think it was worth the risk, and at least we can still play out Noble, hold up Sword. But seeing we we missed our land drop, my opponent might smell Blood in the Water here and get rid of this Noble Hierarch. Brainstorm's okay. At least if the Noble survives and the Urza gets down, we do get to draw a card, which is kind of nice. Interesting. Sylvan Library's okay. We can bounce this with Teferi and draw a card, which I think is probably the best play to try to keep our opponent off. I mean, we don't really have an option here. I think Teferi is just the best play. Especially now with no pressure in play. Our opponent could probably even pay 8 on their first one. So I think Teferi bounce is fine. We can't play around any counter magic unfortunately. But it's a huge win because we can also draw a card, which is nice. Hey Craig, welcome. Hope you're well. Yeah, I wasn't too sure what they were on either. The Ponder Brainstorm Trop fetch wasn't it can be a whole lot of things, but unfortunately here this Sylvan Library is going to be really nice. Taking 8 and just probably taking over the game here. There's Astrolabe. But they don't have another land. That's really interesting. Okay. That's nice. I think here it's just Oko. Oko, hold up Noble. Could also hold up the Horizon Canopy. It kind of does the same thing. It means we can hold up Swords to Plowshares. Nice. Hey Grid. Yeah, currently on a 4-day work week due to COVID, but that is fine. This might be Abrupt Decay. Okay. I guess I should have sold. Yeah, I could attack if I wanted to. That's very true. I didn't really want to attack into like an Ice Fang Coatl. I guess it wouldn't have had Death Touch because they don't have the second. Yeah, more time for MTG. I was going to record these matches, but I think streaming it is always also fun as well. Yeah, no Death Touch is actually relevant. This looks like their own Oko. Oh, it's an Uro. Okay, not too bad. So one thing I want to do here is I want to Swords it now before they put in a land, because if they play Karakas, I don't want them to have the Karakas up when I go to Swords it. But I mean, this is just another 6 life they can put into the Sylvan Library, which is pretty huge. So not a great feel-good moment. Thalia. Thalia's interesting. If we Uro and draw into a land, we can play Thalia and Uro. I think Knight's good enough. Just to start pressuring them, and if they don't have removal for it, we can start going after their mana. But it's tough. Yeah, I think Knight has the best outcome. If we can start hitting their their mana with Wasteland, then I'd be a very happy man. But I have some poor feelings about this Sylvan Library. Pay another 8. Yep. So netted 3 cards off the Sylvan. Uru is okay. Well, it's not okay, but better than nothing. What's this going to be? Sword. Yep. Alright. Green Suns for Scoos? Oh, we drew the Green Suns. Nice. I think that's probably best here. They have 6 cards, though. If they have Force, they have Force. No. Wow, okay. Scavenging Ooze. This also means if they want to Oko the Scavenging Ooze, it'll be a 4/4 elk. Hey Wolf, welcome. Currently in our first game and first match against what looks to be BANT Snow. Pretty rough. The Sylvan Library has got them a lot of cards, especially after having just swords and Uro. Another swords. Alright, this looks like Oko. Or just another Uro. Okay. Heavy. Yeah, this is rough. I mean, Sylvan Library here just doing so much work. Sadly, I think it's just another knight here. I could try to draw off the Uro, but with 5 cards in our opponent's hand, it's pretty hard to think that they don't have removal for something. Hey Hef, welcome. Yeah, I wanted to try out this list. It's actually running Brainstorm, which is pretty interesting. But I think our opponent's just got so much value off this Sylvan Library that it's a little bit impossible to come back. I really wanted to keep getting my mana going, but I just stumbled a little bit. Yeah, that's fair enough. It was really a consideration to test Brainstorm because a lot of the issues that I've been having with the deck have been around the top of the deck. So at least this gives me some play around, you know, drawing Gadok against Death and Taxes or drawing Collector Ouphe against some like creature-based deck. Uro into Oko is pretty good. A little bit late. A little bit late. We are running 8 fetches. No great attacks with this Ice Fang. Uro and Sylvan Library just so good here as well. Dead of Winter is also a card that I've got to be a little bit skeptical about. But just a bit too slow. And the snow decks are really going to punish me if I do mulligan even just once. This looks like Dead of Winter. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't really have a way to get back from that. 5 cards in my opponent's hand, 11 life, and a Sylvan Library with an Oko. Just a little bit too slow. So this matchup is interesting. I don't mind a Force, especially dealing with Sylvan Library. Cards that I don't like. I actually don't really like Thalia. I don't mind it on the play. Sylvan Safekeeper is interesting. Probably not where I want to be. I do like Savine's Reclamation. I do like Questing Beast. I do like the Planeswalkers, even though they do run Abrupt Decay. Uro seems okay. The issue with Uro is that they do have Swords to Plowshares and also Icewind Coatl. But at least the Uro allows us to gain some value off being off the ETBs. I don't mind Collector Ouphe because it can stumble their mana. I don't mind taking out a Wasteland. I don't really want the extra parts. Even though they have Uro, I think we can rely on our 4 swords for it. Hey Tim, hope you're well. Yeah, I know, Lucky, I'm sorry. I think I just need Swords to Plowshares for Uro, unfortunately. As good as they don't line up, as bad as they line up against Icewind Coatl, I think I just need them for Uros in general. Because they're obviously running multiples, which is pretty tough. I could probably go down on 1. But the matchup is BANT Snow. We lost the first game, so we're on the play for the second. It's just a really tough matchup because Dead of Winter is a card that I just can't really play around. I can't interact with their snow permanents outside of Force of Vigor, and Gadok Teague just doesn't do a whole lot because it does stop things like Supreme Verdict, but that's about it. Oh, the Hextrig is in the sideboard. Hextrig is okay, but they have so many outs to it in Swords, Oko, Dead of Winter. Yeah, the Force is really just to get an extra piece of interaction for the Sylvan Library, but maybe I don't need it. Hex does seem nice as an early interactive spell. One more. Maybe it's Ramanap. I'll submit this. Ramanap can be good if they start on a dual-based mana base. This hand is sweet, I'll keep this. Menacing's first control always makes sense to me. Yeah, that's fair enough. I've just been hit so hard so many times by Swords to Plowshares in response to you making the Hex Drinker a 4/4, but maybe if we can land Teferi here, it'll be okay. I mean, Teferi into Green Suns for Hex and tick it up seems pretty sweet. Astrolabe's okay. I'm going to keep both the fetches. So this is kind of interesting because I could just Green Suns here for Collector Ouphe, and then the following turn, if they play something like a Sylvan Library, we can bounce it with Teferi, but I feel like the Teferi isn't as great if they just untap and Abrupt Decay it. I don't want to return the Astrolabe. Making them stumble on mana is interesting. Yeah, I think Ouphe is fine here. If I can turn that island off being a rainbow-colored land, then I'm okay with that. I would love to see Sylvan Library here. That's probably the one card that I want to see, so I actually have a good Teferi target. Okay. I don't want to run into Ice Fang here. So I guess I could cast a Teferi pre-combat if they do have Ice Fang. But otherwise, it's not doing a whole lot. I think Sylvan Library here is fine. Play Sylvan, hold up Brainstorm. This is actually an interesting spot. Maybe I actually have a free damage here with the Noble Hierarch. Yeah, I'm okay with attacking with the Noble here. If they want to trade an Ice Fang for the Noble, that's fine. Yeah, the Brainstorm is in place of what I guess you could play that in. What do they do here? They probably make the Astrolabe a 3/3. They're going to tick up on the Ouphe. Okay. No, I'm pretty happy to keep the Sylvan Library around. Oh, the fetch land around for the Sylvan Library. I think it's just a case to actually get my the top of my deck better. Because I was having issues with drawing a lot of just late game irrelevant spells, which is always not the greatest. I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to pay for this. So we can start by attacking Oko. And then it's probably a case of playing our own Oko. I could also bounce the Labe if I really wanted to. So they don't have a creature next turn to just attack with, but... I think Oko is fine. Unfortunately, without black, we don't have a... Hey, Leviathan, welcome. They don't have access to white, which I guess is something they might want. But yeah, one of the great reasons of playing black in Maverick is you get access to Abrupt Decay, which is an okay answer to Oko. It's not as good as... Decay on Sylvan Library. That's not too bad. We've already got a card off it, at least, so... That's going to be fine. This is interesting, though. So they're holding up Swords to Plowshares. Okay, so if they're holding up Swords to Plowshares... I can cast the Thalia, but I can also kill the Oko because I can go and get Dryad Arbor here. Which gives me 4 no matter what. Pyroblast. Didn't see that coming. I still want to get the Dryad Arbor because then that kills the Oko. Beast. Beast is awesome, but if they have Force of Will, then we don't kill the Oko. So I probably want to play around Force here by not playing the Questing Beast. Yeah, I'd rather play it safe. And then here I'm pretty happy to play Teferi and bounce the food. Back to basics really scares me, 100%. I wonder if I do want to play around back to basics or not. Because if I do, then I want to take up the Teferi. This is game 2, yeah. I just think of, yeah, if we want to play around back, we want to play around back. I've definitely been blown out by it, so I guess I could have like Decay or Pyroblast and back to basics. Yeah, I think you could definitely get away with the Red Splash Jack with just the one Taker. And maybe play a bit of... play more Birds of Paradise than Noble Hierarchs. We showed a bit of Maverick. I think we showed more Maverick than like a BANT Snow deck. Yeah, unfortunately. Another Pond is interesting. I do like the BANT decks that just play Oko and just one Trop, because then you can still play Choke in the board. Yeah, Peter's correct. I did play a bit. Eliminate. Alright. Swords. At least this puts a clock on the board, even if they do have back to basics. But Snow is just a really tough matchup for Maverick. For every spell that I'm spending to destroy one of their permanents, they've most likely drawn a card off it or got some value off it, which is just not the case for me, unfortunately. Anything that they remove of me, it's just a 1-for-1. But thankfully, the beast is out. I want to see some beast emotes. Just a pass back. Okay. Well, this makes me just want to attack with the questing beast. Cradle. I'm going to draw a card first. Verdant. Okay, Verdant's probably better. So the Cradle is probably dead because it looks like they have some sort of sweeper coming. So I don't mind playing the Verdant here and just holding up the Brainstorm. The other play is brainstorming into Karakas to try to save the questing beast from whatever they have. The only issue is that Brainstorm only gets better with the amount of knowledge that I get from my opponent. So I think just playing the Verdant and holding up Brainstorm is fine. Yeah, I think in this matchup especially, I need to get full value of the Brainstorm. Ice Sphinx fine. I could have played the Thalia, but I don't want to overcommit to the board against a deck that probably has some number of removal spells. Hey, Eternal Magic, thanks for the raid. Very cool. I hope you guys are well. What did you just play on stream? Big fan of you guys. If anyone here is not coming from the Eternal Magic BR scene, Oko is interesting. Sadly, I can't do much in response. Probably hit the beast here, yeah. At least if I draw into Karakas, I can return the beast and then recast it as Questing Beast. Okay. So let's go for a Brainstorm. Interesting. I think we put back... Cradle's pretty interesting with Hex Drinker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 Definitely putting back the snow covered and maybe the Scryb. Yeah, Thalia's not doing a whole lot here either. Hey ZYV, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. I think it's just a little bit too late for Thalia to have an impact on this board. And now I do want to fetch. Probably just getting a drop. Do I need multiple blue? I could just get the forest if I really wanted to have the forest out. But I think I'm playing around. I'm not playing around back to basics at all, so I might as well just go true value. Hey Sketchy, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Alright. Untap. Get a new card. Snow-covered forest. All decks besides Solidarity? Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so if we deal with an Ice-Fang here, they then block the Questing Beast and the Oko dies, unless if they have a removal spell. So this Cradle is 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana, 8 mana, which is enough for the Hex. Alright, let's start with Hex Drinker. Let's play Cradle. 2-cup Hex. I want to do this before combat so I don't lose any of my creatures and the Cradle becomes worse. This also baits removal out. That's very true. So if we do have one piece for an Ice-Fang, then we can just get through with the rest to kill the Oko. There's the fetch. Oh, this also puts them at 5. But they do go back to 6. Yeah, they do have decay. So we can put them at 1, or we can kill the Oko, and I think just killing the Oko here is correct. Definitely go face. The issue is that they have food as well. So they potentially next turn just have free 6. Hey Eddie, welcome. Hope you're well. Yeah, sadly I think going to 1 does nothing. Yeah, all at Oko. They probably trade with the Questing Beast. They could also just let this go and keep the Ice-Fang around, which is pretty interesting. No, they are going to trade. Okay. Snake can block Beast because it's a 3/3. Oh, does it keep that? No, surely not. Yeah. Okay. Questing Beast was an elk. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to keep the food around in case we draw into Oko. But a sweeper here like Dead of Winter. We haven't seen one yet, but I assume one is looming, which is pretty rough. So much value from this deck. It's always hard to keep up. Uro, yeah. Uro's pretty good. Do they have double land as well? Yeah, but they've also gone through 3 Ponders, multiple Ice-Fangs. Surely they see one somewhere. Teferi. Interesting. I'm going to attack like this into Ice Fang. And now I like untap this, return this, play this, play Teferi, and this for the Pyroblast. Rough. I was gonna bounce the Ouphe, because at least if I try to bounce the food, they can crack it, and I don't draw a card. But at least with the Ouphe, I can reset it and turn off these two if they don't do anything in response. Because now Uru comes down, Uru comes down. Yeah, I guess Teferi pre-combat is definitely the correct play. It also gives me information about if they do have Ice Fang or not. Yeah. That's just a really poor play. Knight. A little bit slow. Is it trample? No, okay. So I can block with the Scryb Ranger. This definitely feels like a Dead of Winter. Yeah, I can't even return the library's pretty good. Yeah, big rips. There's just nothing that I can really do against this deck, unfortunately. It's just such good value that I don't line up, and especially as a BANT deck, I'm just the worst BANT mid-range deck, which is pretty rough. But I definitely should have more game with it. I mean, it's definitely one of the... It's still a pretty big deck in the format. At least when I play, I usually find it's in the leagues. This hand is pretty good. I'm going to keep this. You haven't seen Snow 4-color Snow in forever? Yeah, sadly, I play against it every league, I find. But it's so hard for Maverick to deal with because the value is just... We're just so outvalued in every single card. Ancient Tomb, okay. Well, then I'm probably playing a fetch land here to hide things with Brainstorm. If I draw a Wasteland, though, that'd be kind of cool. Scavenging Ooze. Okay. I'm going to play the Misty because the Windswept can get... Actually, in case they're on a Moon deck, I'm going to play the Windswept Heath because that means I can get the other basic planes. And if not, then basics are irrelevant and I can just get a trop from this anyway. Hey Julian, thank you very much. It's really appreciated. Hope you're well. Ancient Tomb start with nothing backup. Eldrazi. Wow, this is a really slow start. I don't think I want to Brainstorm here. The reason I might want to Brainstorm is that I want to really dig for Wasteland to take out this Ancient Tomb next turn. But I think we're pretty well prepared against any Eldrazi that hit, so I don't think it's worth doing that. I think I'm probably happy just to... Okay. So if I did want to play around a Thought-Knot here, we could Brainstorm and put back Uro and Sword and a land, so that these two are on top of the library and not they're free from Thought-Knot, and then we can just tap out for Sylvan Library, which is pretty nice. So I'm actually going to do that. Because we Brainstorm, we draw 3, we put back these 2 to save them, and a land. We draw the land for turn, we play Sylvan Library. I think that's fine, because the upside of finding Wasteland is just so huge, and otherwise, that's just a fine play. Okay. So putting back Uro. Oh, I only put back 2. Brainstorm's pretty good. Yeah, I always thought you put back 3. That is not something that I should have said on camera. Okay, this is fine. There's the 5. I mean, if it's just Reality Smasher, I don't really care either. This is fine. We have more than enough lands as well to put back off the Swords to Plowshares. Should have shuffled the land. Yeah, that's very true. But I think we're doing okay here. Put back this Snow Covered. I could pay for the extra sword if I wanted to, but I don't really need it right now. What does this turn look like? It's probably Scoo's Hold Up Sword. I don't want to play an Oko if they can just untap play another Smasher, which I assume they kept a double Smasher hand. That's why they had nothing else. You're not going to keep a hand that just has Smasher and 3 lands. You're going to keep a hand because it has double Smasher. We could also go Uro. Okay, so Uro is actually the best one here. So I do want to put this on top. Happy to fetch it away. Uro. We draw a card. Nice, we put a land into play. Now we have Sword. Uro in the bin, which we can cast next turn because we have the Sword and the Windswept Heath going to the bin. Okay, we're getting there. And thankfully we're at 16, which is kind of cool. Mishra's Factory, okay. So I could save the Sword here for a post-combat like Thought-Knot, but I think the Sword here is fine because the Oko is coming next turn. Which is actually pretty interesting. Maybe I don't even have to use the Sword here. Because next turn we'll have a mana open and Uro in play. And the Uro is going to stop the Reality Smasher anyway, so I don't mind going to 10. And they actually have nothing, wow. That's very interesting. They usually run Dismember, but I don't think they have a great answer to the Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do need to fetch this turn, so we can put this on top. I might as well keep double Sword. They could have all this dust, but I'm not too worried about it. Land for turn. Now we can fetch. I'm just going to get the second trop. This means we can go blue, blue, green, green. Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I really wanted to, I could Swords the Reality Smasher first and keep a land in the yard, but I think this is fine. There's probably also consideration to actually just pay 4 for the other Savannah. Because then we just have a land we can put into play and just keep building out our board. looks like another Smasher. Okay. Yeah, the factory is cool. I do like this factory artwork. What's this going to be? Interesting. 1 mana left. Are they going to try to dismember the Uro? Okay. So I guess we just block. To be fair, do we even have to block here? I don't think we do. Let's go Sword and Reality Smasher, pitch the Thalia. And then I think we just take 7 here, to be fair. We go to 5. But then we still have a sword. We have an Oko as well. Yeah, this is more than fine. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it attacks, we get this. So I think we just go Knight and also this. So put on top. Put on top. So we draw the second swords. I could also fetch away the second swords to see if we can draw into a Wasteland. Yeah, Uro's pretty messed up. Let's play Knight as a 3/3. And then probably just elk this Reality Smasher. I guess this line loses to another Reality Smasher and activate Mishra's Factory, which would be pretty bad. So yeah, I think that actually was the wrong consideration. Maybe holding up swords is just better, and just playing out like Ooze and say Ooze and holding up Swords to Plowshares, because that is definitely an out for my opponent, which isn't great. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, because even if I block the Reality Smasher, that's a 5/5. I take 3, 2 trample, and 2 from the Mishra's Factory. Yeah, so apologies for that. That's just bad play. I'm happy to take out Thalia. I do like the forces. I do like the Ramanap. I do like the parts. Heck, the Savines is interesting. I think Teferi is just a little bit slow, especially when we have the forces. Safekeeper is interesting. I think we can take out Safekeeper, which leaves us with 60. I think there's some merit to having Scryb Ranger in the deck. Collector Ouphe is fine against things like Ratchet Bomb, Walking Ballista. Sylvan Library is still okay. Maybe the second library isn't as great because we're on the draw. So maybe it is something like just 1 Teferi. Teferi can be nice. It's also an outside chalice if we really need one. But we do need to back it up with the 1-drops because they can just replay it. Yeah, Teague does stop all his dust. But I think if we're bringing in Ramanap, we really want to be on the Wasteland strategy as well to try to keep them off 7 mana. And I think it's something that this deck can definitely do with Knight and access to pretty early mana acceleration to get Knight into play. Yeah, it might actually be, if they bring in Leyline, they bring in Leyline, but I think the Reclamation is fine. Reclamation just gets back so much, even something like an Oko. So I think this is fine. This hand's pretty great. I'll keep this. We have an answer to Chalice in these two. We have some early mana acceleration. We have Wasteland, which is nice. And then Green Suns to find whatever we need. Good old Teague and Green Suns combo. The best. Hey Boyd, welcome. Hope you're well. You like the new stream assets? Thank you very much. I have to find like so I want to find like a little like box area I guess for this, and then also for chat, but it's what I have. Is this just a wow, okay, this is a really slow start for my opponent. Interesting. Another Oko. Happy just to go Trop into Noble here. I think I might keep the fetch land in case I need it for something like Sylvan Library. Temple, okay. Battery Shaper, that's fine. So this is pretty interesting. I don't mind going for another Mana Dork and wastelanding my opponent off the Eldrazi Temple just to slow them down. I could go Oko tick up to 6, but I think here I'm really happy just to take out the Temple and then Green Suns for probably Gilded Goose because it also makes a food. Wasting the cavern there would be bad. How do I rate Goose? Goose is interesting. I've never really enjoyed it in Maverick because a lot of the time I do just want mana every turn. I don't want to have to wait a turn to create a food and then untap and sack it. It is nice. It's great when it's great, and it's... You just wish it was a Birds of Paradise the other times. It is nice as a one-off. Even the O2 body can save some damage points as well against things like an Unflipped Delver. Oh, they're going to wasteland me. Okay. That is fine. That's a very interesting play. But most of the time I wish it was a Birds of Paradise. If we draw Cradle, that would be insane. We draw Wasteland. Interesting. I'm going to keep this. I kind of want to keep wastelanding their soul lands, not the caverns. So I think here we're just going with Oko. I could consider a fetch land here, trying to get Knight up to a 5/5 if we draw into it as soon as possible, but I'm happy just to keep it again. Sacrifice this. Play an Oko. Tick up Oko to 6, and just pass back. So there's another soul land, which is great for us. They're going to play a Spyglass, which is fine because we have the Knight of Autumn to destroy it. So it doesn't really matter what they name here, which is pretty great for us. They probably need like a... Yeah, not even Dismember does it here. They can't even Dismember a Noble Hierarch to keep me off the Knight. So they name Oko, which is interesting. We do draw the extra one, which is funny. I kind of like trading the food for the Matter Shaper here. That's pretty funny. We're 100% wastelanding the Ancient Tomb. And then I'm actually pretty happy... I guess we can't, so I do have to... Yeah. Blue. Food. Play Knight. Destroy this. And then I think the Goose has done enough. So I'm going to trade these two. It also allows me to start a beatdown plan, which is kind of nice. The Goose isn't very relative to them, or relevant, sorry. Boyd, it is pretty stupid. You stopped playing Legacy at the right time. Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, this is probably an endless one. Okay, that's fine. It does interact with Oko in a pretty unfortunate way, where Endless One keeps the counters. So if I make it an Elk, it'll be a 7/7. But we can block with a Matter Reshaper, which is kind of cool. Of course we draw that. They're at 18. We're playing the land. Maybe create a food and then Oko create a food. This is pretty interesting. We're definitely fetching. I think I'm just gonna get a Tundra. Play the second Oko, tick up on the food. Could also attack with the Matter Reshaper first and see what they do. Thankfully, I think we're in a very good position that I can play a little bit loose here and see what happens. Is Oko more powerful than Dark Ritual and Entomb? That's an interesting, that's interesting. That's a pretty powerful synergy you have there. They're going to attack. What are they attacking? Me. I think I'm happy to take this. Go to 9. And then we get to swing back with a few things. Alright, get to untap. We draw Force of Vigor. It isn't relevant. Interesting. I can exchange control. Do I want the 4/4? I'm trying to think if there's anything special that I can do here. They're at 14. I can swing for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They can activate the Metro's Factory and make it a 3/3, which is pretty relevant. Honestly, I think it's just create a food and then swing with my 2 3/3s and just hold up Path to Exile. And I guess a little bit hold up Force of Vigor, but I don't think that's going to be needed. It does mean I can take out the Mistress Factory if I really want to. But I'm pretty happy just to attack with these two. And then see what happens this following turn. Oko just a really big threat here. We also have the spare Oko to pitch to the Force, which is really nice. Spyglass is going to be fine. Especially seeing the Force in hand. No attacks. Okay. Get rid of this. They probably don't run a waste. Oh, they do. Okay, that's cool. Do I want to force? I think I do want to force here. Yeah, because I have lethal. I can make the Noble Hierarch a 3/3 or the food a 3/3, and then they can only block 3 and take 6/8. And I think they see the writing on the wall. Eldrazi definitely a deck that I think Maverick has a great matchup against. You can get caught out by the fast starts, which are like turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Thought-Knot, turn 3 Reality Smasher, or something like double Mimic into Thought-Knot. But obviously our opponent had pretty slow starts there, which is pretty unfortunate for a deck that can be very aggressive, if not the most aggressive deck in Legacy. But yeah, nice to come back from that pretty poor loss against BANT. But yeah, Oko there just really showing how good it is in the fair matchups. And how it creates this sub-game that you just have to focus on. And then when you look back, your opponent has a board state, and you're like, what happened? You're like, you've been attacking Oko for 3 turns. Like, I now have a Knight, and a Ramanap, and double Wasteland. Alright. LOL for reals. This hand is fine. Turn 2 Oko or turn 2 Uro. The Dryad Arbor is a little bit rough, but I think this hand is fine. Green Sun's pretty nice as well, because Green Sun's allows for the shuffle as well, which means that Brainstorm isn't just for the fetches, which is pretty sweet. It's an interaction that's right in front of you, but I didn't really realize it until you actually look at it. I guess, you know, sometimes it's correct to path your own creature, which is another way to get a shuffle off Brainstorm, which is pretty cool. This hand is also okay against combo because we have a turn 2 Collector Ouphe, which is okay. Yeah, definitely, especially when you're playing 4 Stoneforge and only Ouphe. Okay, well, really, now I really want this Collector Ouphe. If I can get one more turn after this one. Oh, I draw it. I still think Trop Bird. And just hope we get one more turn. It does look like Echo Khan. Oh, they saw it as well! No! The Urza's Bauble. Doing a pretty good job there of showing my opponent what I have in hand and what they have to deal with if they don't go off this turn, which, to be fair, is pretty reasonable. I could see them going off as early as turn 2. It's a pretty fast deck, especially here with 4 mana on turn 2. Urza. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. Can we draw Karakas? No. Okay. So I believe the play here is to go for Collector Ouphe. I don't think there's a reason to go for Oko on Urza, because Collector Ouphe just turns off so much more, and it turns off the LED Echo line, which I think is so big. So I could play the Dryad Arbor and use the food off Gilded Goose, just so the Dryad Arbor is online the following turn, but I think I want to keep the food around for now. So I think the play is just going for Collector Ouphe here, because it also turns off the seat. It would turn off the seat because it's a it's an artifact land. Oh yeah, it can if they have Urza out, then it does work. But without Urza, it turns it off. I'm talking more in like a general sense. Narset. Okay. What does Narset find? Echoes. Okay, that's fine. Hey Hulk, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? They're going to attack with a construct. That's fine. I think here the play is just untap and Oko the Urza. I think our best draw is probably Wasteland to Wasteland the city. And then play the Oko on the Urza. Pretty much play anything jamming this Urza deck and Bug Lands. That's cool. Bug Lands is a really appealing deck to me, and this Urza deck looks really spicy. Come on, Wasteland. Thalia. Thalia is pretty sweet, but I think Oko is just the best here. So I think here I actually want to put the Gilded Goose in front of one of these attacking creatures. Let's see what they attack. I assume they both go for Oko. Yeah, they both go for Oko. Goose has done its time. Now we get to untap Sylvan Library. That's pretty nice. I'm definitely ticking up on the food. It might just be Uro here. Sylvan Library is also pretty nice though. I can't play both, unfortunately. Uru doesn't draw because of the Narset. That's correct. I guess we can. We're not going to block with the Collector Ouphe, so we can definitely attack with the Collector Ouphe here into the Narset. There's no downside here. But we're pretty far off from actually getting the Uro into play. I think Sylvan Library's best here. Sylvan Library and play Dryad Arbor. This also gives me some opportunity to look at what I'm drawing into with Uro, in case there's just 3 lands on top. Okay, this makes the construct bigger. You're going to attack with both, which is interesting. I think I'm okay just to go food on Urza to get it off the board, and then play the Dryad Arbor on Construct to feed the Uro. Because right now I want more cards in my graveyard than I do lands in play, especially with Sylvan Library around. And to be fair here, I'm pretty happy just to pay 8. Let's be honest. Now I can go for a Brainstorm. And if I don't find a land, I can then just shuffle with Green Suns, which is kind of nice. I can also Elk the Construct. We definitely will Elk the Construct here. Knight's a 3/3 as well. Yeah, I think we have so many options, which is nice. Yeah, okay, let's put back... I do want to draw the sword. I don't really need the second Green Suns here, so put on top. And put on top. Land. Play Uro. Draw the fetch land. Play the fetch land. And just pass. I can actually attack. There's definitely a few lines there, but I think we're just in such a good position that either one of them leads to victory, which is nice. I mean, even here, an attack for 3 is fine. We don't know about the top of the library. So I keep the Windswept Heath around for the fetch. I guess we know about the Green Suns, which is fine. Put on top, put on top. Create a food, play the Knight and Thalia, but it looks like my opponent's just conceding. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of lines there. Deafening Silence I do like. It's a lot better on the play, but I think it's okay on the draw. I like Force, I like Gadok Teague. I don't think the ley lines are worth it. Teferi's an interesting one. I think we can take out Sylvan Safekeeper. I'm not sure if this is a matchup where I actually want Uro. Path is interesting as well because it is just one more piece of interaction early on that can deal with something like Urza. But I don't want to de-sideboard too much. I don't want to over-sideboard. Leyline is, yeah, kind of good. It does stop the echo lines, which maybe is enough, but I just don't want to be over-sideboarding. All of this is really good. But I don't want to bring in 12 cards, to be fair. Ooze is okay if I don't find the ley lines. I'm going to drop the paths. I'm actually going to go down on land as well. I reckon I can drop probably the Cradle. Yeah, I might keep the silences for the play. As good as they are. I might just go down on... I don't mind Sylvan Library because we can be pretty aggressive with it. I don't mind going down on Goose. Maybe just the one library. Although library's pretty nice when you bring in ley lines because you can control what you're drawing to make sure you don't draw them. We can brainstorm in the way, but... One library, one Teferi. I think Oko's a little bit better than Teferi. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, maybe Thalia is not the best on the draw. I'll bring in one more path. There we go. This end is interesting. The Wasteland's pretty nice because if we can hit a Soul Land early on, then the Leyline and that is going to put them back pretty hard, but you do want to make sure that you're keeping a hand with a plan and not just because it has Leyline. And I definitely don't mind this. The Double Knights are nice because they come down as 4/4s early on. We're going to keep it. They went to 6, so I kind of hope they mull to an Echo hand, but you never know. Chalice on 1, okay. This makes me really want to Wasteland this Seat, because it also turns off the Mox Opal, which is pretty huge. Actually, it doesn't because of the Chalice. But they're down to 2 cards, so I think I'm happy to Wasteland here because it keeps them off like Soul Land into something big. Maybe a little bit too aggressive because we are on the draw as well, but I think that's fine. They're also down to 3 cards. Repeal the Chalice? Oh, repeal to draw a card, okay. Double Sword, okay. Windswept Pass. There goes the Bauble, okay. They saw a Knight. Yeah, looks like they kept a hand that was weak to Leyline. Petal, okay. So now they have 2 mana. They're gonna float a red. Interesting. This is pretty good. Yeah, okay. That's definitely a clock. Alright, let's draw land. Let's draw land. Yes. Yeah, I wish. Interesting, they didn't, they could have hit us there with the Chalice and the LED. But they didn't. Alright. There we go. Okay. I guess maybe they could have like Soul Land into like an Ensnaring Bridge would be pretty good. But it looks like that it's going to concede, which is interesting. They might just not have had an out to the Knights, which is pretty rough, but I think they kept a land that the Leyline, or a hand that the Leyline really interrupted, which is pretty great, so that's pretty nice. 2-1. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'll be back. Cool. There we go. Nice. Let's get into this next one. Also got a beer, so apologies for the beers, but it's Fridays, so tinny's out. Oh. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. This is the it's from Range Brewing, which is a brewery that's local. It's pretty good. It's an IPA. A modern IPA hopped generously with Simcoe, Amalio, and Mosaic Cryo. Interesting. I just want a beer that sounds like beer, so I'm definitely not drinking at work right now. Come on, man, it's Friday. Let's be real. I think everyone should be drinking on Fridays. It should be an Australian law. But nice to bounce back from our loss. Eldrazi, a favorite deck to play against. But Urza's can be interesting. If we don't have the free spells like Leyline and Force, it can be pretty rough. Especially because they are a fast combo deck, so can be pretty unfortunate for fair decks like Maverick. But Jack, good on you. Good on you for sticking it out in your apartment. I know that they did a door knock for people that were positive to the virus in Melbourne, and I think they hit like 1,000 people, or maybe 500, and it was something like 1 in 4 were not home. Like, just insane. Yeah, crazy. Up against Snoopy Magic. What do we get? This is a pretty nice hand. We can Green Suns turn 1. We can then play turn 2 Thalia with Karakas up. We can play Sylvan Library with Swords. I'm going to keep this. Okay, so first thing here. Just an island, not a snow-covered island. This is very interesting. 1 out of 4 is a lot, yeah. So that means that 125 people of the 500 that were positive to the virus that were supposed to stay home is just insane. Like, to think they're out like shopping or something is pretty crazy. This makes me think it's Storm. So I think here we just want to go for Green Suns. And I'm probably okay just doing it off a... I probably don't want to give too much away, so I think Savannah is fine. I could do Snow-Covered Forest. If they're going to combo with me out fast, I could act like I'm the BANT Natural Order deck. I think Snow-Covered is fine. It just means we can't do something like... Yeah, I guess we could still Thalia hold up. Maybe it is just Savannah. Just in case. Doesn't play Forces. Yeah, it was more to the point to not give away that we're on Maverick. They're just going to pass here. Okay, this could be Sneak and Show, actually. Okay. So here I probably just want to play the Thalia, and then play the Noble Hierarch, and then hold up Karakas to put in. Or maybe I want to put in something like the Sylvan Library. I'm definitely playing the Thalia. I think it's Karakas because we still lose to Ancient Tomb Sneak creature. Yeah, so I think we have to play Karakas. And just to like play around Days, which doesn't always see play in Sneak. I'm going to play the Thalia here. Looks like this is a Brainstorm, okay. This is usually a pretty rough matchup. We don't have a great sneak attack matchup, but Thalia resolving is definitely at least something. Yeah, so Karakas doesn't play around the Force on Thalia and then just a hard cast sneak into creature. And if they do show and tell here, I'd probably rather just put in the Sylvan Library to try to dig for something. Brainstorm. Alright. I think here... Attack with Thalia, hold up Karakas, and we can just play Sylvan Library. I could jam Teferi, but I think Sylvan Library is a little bit better here. It also means we can hold up the Karakas. Teferi, sadly, isn't doing too much on our turn. Nothing really great to bounce here either. They might be trying to get to like a hard cast sneak, so I think trying to just dig with Sylvan Library is pretty good. Just to find a better clock as well. Finding Wasteland's probably optimal here as well. This looks like probably an intuition. No, okay. City. City's fine. Show and tell. Oh, but they have double up. Rough. That's pretty good. I guess if they have Emrakul, they have Emrakul. Yeah. Alright, we'll play it out. Return this, and now we sack 6. We get to keep 1? Yeah, that's not great. Because I kind of want to keep the library and just pay with it. But yeah, I don't think we have an out anyway. I think we just have to concede the game 1 against Sneak, unfortunately. So Force is really nice. Silence is interesting, but probably not where I want to be. Gadok Teague is okay. I don't mind taking out some number of swords, if not all. Hey, there you go. Welcome. Yeah, I usually cut the plows because we do have other answers to that. The 3-drop creature that taps and makes a copy. Because we have, Teferi and Oko still, which is nice. Yeah, so I don't keep in the swords for them. I usually keep them in for the other creatures that they bring in. Safekeeper can probably come out. They're probably using sweeper effects anyway, like Pyroclasm or Kozilek's Return. They could be playing a Braid, but... Hextrick is interesting as well, because it is just a quick clock. Yeah, I do like Deafening Silence in the red matchups when you have Pyroblast as well. Collector Ouphe is okay because it hits the Lotus Petals. Uro is interesting, a little bit slow. Yeah, I don't think Sneak is Sneak is definitely like an 80-20 matchup, so I don't want to put too much time into the sideboard for Sneak and Show because it's just not a great matchup. That I'd rather put some work into the other ones and just take the hit, which is tough. Silence is interesting because it sometimes slows him down just enough. That makes 60. I'm happy to go down on a land, probably just a drop, and play another. I think I just want to land early disruption and then just attack them as quick as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not keeping a one Karakas hand. This is okay. Yeah, I feel like Sneak's definitely a deck where you just have to get lucky as Maverick. You can't win it because it's an okay matchup. I think it's keep bottom goose. Let's go for Trop here. Yeah, silence is interesting. It's sadly not something that we can also beat down with and apply pressure, but if it's enough to distract our opponent, which allows us to play some other creatures, then, you know, it's more a sum of the parts rather than just the parts themselves. Island. Hey, Mozza, welcome. Double Thali is interesting. This is BANT Maverick, but I'm just trying out Brainstorm, which is a pretty old list, but it's not the worst. I do have Knight of Autumn, but not in this opening hand. I could Slam to Fairy, but it doesn't do too much. At least Thalia pressures them, it disrupts them, and then next turn if we don't draw land, we can just play the Knight of the Reliquary. I also don't mind if the first Thalia gets countered because of the second. I don't know. That's definitely why I'm trying it out. I mean, a lot of the matches that I've lost recently with Maverick have been because of just top deck situations where I think Brainstorm can really give me some outs to drawing sort of the wrong hate bears in the wrong matches. Okay. Bird. Yeah, the one thing with once is that I've been wanting a lot more non-creature spells post-board. So once, of course, can't find them, but at least Brainstorm can, which is nice. So Brainstorm can find things like Abrupt Decay or Planeswalkers. But yeah, this is the first league with it, so I thought it's definitely worth trialing. I'm definitely not someone who just says no to something he doesn't try it out. They did miss a land drop, which is pretty huge. I'm definitely going to slam to Fairy here. I think slam to Fairy and bounce the pedal is more than fine. Even if they just want to sack this now, I'm probably okay with that. I mean, even if I can take them off a mana, interesting, okay. Preordain's okay. Let's see what they do here. 2 cuts to the bottom, okay. It's good for us. There's that pedal. Hero. So Uro draws us a random card. Brainstorm lets us look at the top 3. I don't mind Brainstorm first, because even if I find just like any other exalted creature, that could be good enough. I could also draw into Wasteland, which would be really nice here. Okay. I do want to play the Savannah this turn so then I can cast the Uro and draw into the night. So I'll put back... Or do I want to cast the Knight this turn? I probably want to cast the Knight this turn, to be fair. So I want to put back the bird and then the Scryb Ranger, so I can draw the Scryb Ranger and just shuffle away the bird. Yeah, I guess the three reasons why I was trying Brainstorm was that I was drawing irrelevant silver bullets in the matchups where they just do nothing, unfortunately. Even cards like Swords Plowshares against like Storm, I definitely don't want. The late game mana dorks were definitely piling up, and I wasn't a big fan of those. And they're just flooding. Like there's a lot of games where I had a little bit of pressure, and then I'll just draw like 4 lands in a row, which is something you just have to accept playing Maverick because you're not playing cards like Brainstorm or Ponder to manipulate what you're drawing. But yeah, I thought the Brainstorm was a pretty clean fit. It's seen play in the deck in its early days, so I just wanted to try it out and see how it goes. And it has been pretty good so far, which is nice. Magus. Magus is going to be fine. We already have our basics out, which is interesting. It just means that Karakas isn't going to be a play. Wait, did Magus work? Yeah, it did. Okay. Hey, Nathan, currently 2-1. Do I want to draw the Scryb Ranger? I probably want to attack with the Knight this turn. So I think the question is yes. And then I can still untap the Knight anyway. They're not blocking. Interesting. So I could put them down to 2 life if I wanted to untap the Knight and go and get another land off the forest or the plains. Which is pretty interesting. That does turn off Ancient Tomb, which is kind of cool. Hey, Timmy C, welcome. I think putting them to 2 is relevant. And I don't really care about this plains, and we haven't played a land for turn. So let's go Scryb Ranger. Untap the Knight, return the forest. And then I'm going to sack the plains. I don't believe we have another basic, but that's fine. I could just get the Karakas so we have it. So this puts them down to 2. Which, yeah, as Ancient Tomb is a card, it is relevant. I guess not with the Magus in play, but I think it's definitely worth at least doing that. Let's play Uro. Get to draw a card. Okay. Okay. Then it concede. Okay, that's nice. So we get a match 3. The question is, do I want anything on the play that I didn't want... Sorry, anything on the draw that I didn't want on the play? Seeing the Magus is interesting and makes me feel like I do want some number of swords, perhaps. I think swords is better than paths because I don't really want to give them another basic. But maybe it's just something that I can't play around and I just have to rely on my mana dogs to get me through it. Maybe just the one. I definitely feel better having it in the deck. And I'm probably still happy just with the 2-2 split of Thalia and Deafening Silence. I think Scooze actually can be a pretty good cut. Scooze doesn't really do anything in this matchup, so that's a pretty easy trade. I think the main reason that I like Brainstorm in this version over Once Upon a Time is that it does have a pretty big reliance on Planeswalkers as well to really keep the pressure going. So Brainstorm, of course, does find those as well, which is kind of nice. I am going to keep this. It has the Night of Autumn, which is nice. It's probably the best thing that I can put in off a show and tell. And we do have Acceleration, so I'm going to keep this. But yeah, I would definitely never say that Maverick is the best Brainstorm deck or anywhere near it, but I think it's pretty cool to try out. Teferi. Alright. Oh, there's Tomb. Alright. I mean, we can't beat a creature being put in, but we can beat a Sneak or an Omni, so let's go for Knight. Aha! And just hope they don't have, like, Cunning Wish in response. Alright. Well, then I guess the best play was to put in Thalia, because then they couldn't cast a spell on top of Omniscience, but that's fine. I wanted to play the Knight as well because we're not guaranteed a land next turn, so we're not guaranteed the 3 lands. Or the 3 mana to cast it. But yeah, the turn 2 Omniscience with the Cunning Wish and Emrakul backup is pretty rough. Yeah, sometimes it just happens, so... GG's. Rough. So that's definitely what you get for playing a fair deck against an unfair deck like Sneak. Because yeah, with the Cunning Wish, it's tough. I didn't want to see if I drew a land, because we could put in. I guess if they already have the Emrakul, then putting in the Thalia does nothing either. Alright, we're on the play. Nice. Against Binu. And this hand is probably just a little bit too slow. It's got some nice 3-drops, but I really want to have a turn 1 Accelerant and probably a turn 2 play. So I'm going to mulligan this. The Dryad Arbor is also a little bit awkward here because I would probably play it out as my first land drop to make sure it's online the next turn. And that just opens it up to all sorts of removal, including Wasteland. So I'm going to mulligan this. I don't think there's a better 5. I think just because of the Sylvan Library here, it allows me to recoup the cards that I'm losing from mulliganing. So I'm going to keep this, and I'm just going to bottom the Trop Because if my opponent thought seizes me, maybe I can just show that I'm on a 2-color deck and not a 3. Yeah, I think it's the library that keeps it, but unfortunately otherwise it's not the greatest. So we'll keep this and bottom the trop. So I'm pretty happy just to play the Windswept and pass. Lackey. Okay. That's pretty rough because now I can't really tap out for the Sylvan Library. I have to hold up Dryad Arbor. Green Suns. So now I could also go for Gilded Goose. Goblins is definitely relevant, yeah. I haven't played against it yet, but I think here the best play is just to go for Gilded Goose. And I'm just going to go for a second Savannah. So I don't want to show you yet that I'm on the blue splash. I could also get Sylvan Safekeeper, which is interesting. Because that trades no matter what, but if I really wanted to play around Munitions Expert or Tarfire, I don't think that's been played, but if I wanted to play around one of those, I could get the Safekeeper here. I think Goose is fine. Skirk is okay. Interesting, and no land backup? Nice, okay. So now I get to... Oh, Knight's pretty good here as well. I think here the play is just Knight as a 4/4, because that plays around Munitions Expert. At least a little bit. I also have the Goose, but I think going for the Knight here is fine. I don't really want to tap it. Yeah, Knight looks really nice here, especially as a 4/4. Chrome Mox, okay. Does anyone know, does the Chrome Mox version of Goblins have anything different than usual? Or is Chrome Mox just a card that most decks are playing around with? Lots of different things. Hey Anzi, welcome. I like the new haircut. I like the new ooh, this is interesting. Okay, this is fine. So now we get to untap. We can go after the Chrome Mox if that's worth it. I think that's okay. Play a Wasteland. I'm definitely playing the Sylvan Library. And I think we just play the Knight out and destroy the Chrome Mox. Just to keep pressuring their mana. Even though they have the Skirk Prospector, they have to actually lose creatures here to it. And at least they're already down a Krenko off this Chrome Mox, so it kind of 2-for-1s them. Or maybe even 3-for-1 if we get to trade with an actual creature. Four cards in hand. Two mana. 3 mana. 4 mana. Goblin Lackey. No, they're doing it back. Okay, they're taking it back. Interesting. Yeah, that's an undo. I was like, they're sacking a lackey to cast a lackey? What is this? Just passing. That's really interesting. I'm not going to use the knight. I'm just going to keep it online. Okay. Oh, what do I want to do here? I probably want to get Questing Beast and start attacking. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pretty good. So I'm probably happy just paying for the green suns and putting back the snow covered. Because we have a land drop anyway in the Wasteland. I believe that Questing Beast is just the best here because it applies pressure. It has Vigilance, so it also does something on the swing back. I could go for Uro, but I think Questing Beast is just really nice at making sure I can apply quick pressure. It's a possibility that perhaps I should also attack with the Knight, but I think actually I should attack with the Knight because even though I'm only trading for a Goblin, it's also taking them off 1 extra mana that they could be sacking to the Skirk Prospector. So I think here we'll definitely go for ticking up the Knight, sacking a Savannah, and just building it up. Hey, Math Guy, I believe we played. I believe we played before. Thanks for the follow. Hope you're well. Canopy's interesting. So is Dryad, to be fair. I want to keep Dryad in the deck, to be fair. I'm going to go for Windswept Heath, just so we have the Brainstorm as well. Well, Swords is pretty perfect. Oh, okay. Put on top. I'm going to pay for this. And to be fair, I'm just going to go after the Skirk right now. Yeah, unfortunately my opponent just really stumbled on mana this game. The big thing was as well, they didn't have an answer to the turn 2 Gilded Goose, which just blocked the lackey. But this is going to be interesting in the board. I do like the paths. I don't mind the Hex Drinker. I don't think we need the Forces. I think the Forces are interesting, but I do like the Ouphe as a way to hit the Aether Vials and you know what it is. Oh, no Vials? Okay, interesting. So these just do it. Why do I like the Hex? It is a 1-drop that we can make into a 4/4, and I think just a 4/4 is really nice. It's really only something that a Pyrokinesis can trade with. And sometimes when the matches go long, we do just have a bunch of mana opened up. They might have Moon. Okay. I don't think I want I don't think I want the Thalias. Even though First Rick is a little bit relevant, I don't think that's where I want to be. Sylvan Safekeeper can most likely come out as well. I don't think I really need to protect any of my single creatures from something. Sylvan Library is interesting. The games usually go pretty long with Goblins, but if they get really aggressive, then Library can be a bit of a dud, so I don't mind going down in the Library and probably just bringing in a Ramanap. Because I think Ramanap as well is pretty good with its body as a 2/3, and also the Wasteland lock can be real against Goblins. So I think this is fine. And then if we do see anything that really makes us want these Force of Vigors post-board, we could bring them in. Yeah, I think Pyrokinesis is the big card to be worried about. Which, I don't think it's worth bringing in Teague, but it's something to definitely be wary of. Yeah, I think Ramanap as well, just, little things like getting back a Dryad Arbor is definitely pretty good against a deck with a lot of X1 creatures. I think this hand is just a little bit top heavy. It would be really nice if we had a mana accelerant, but I think this is a mulligan. it loses very hard to a Lackey start, because at best I probably trade a Dryad Arbor with it, which puts me back a land. So I think we can mulligan to a hand with Mana Acceleration and at least one Path or Swords. I think that would be really nice. Okay, or two Paths. So this isn't the worst. The issue with Path is that early on it gives them the mana advantage. But I think this is definitely a keep. And I think it's the second Green Suns that I put back. I think I do want the two Paths just in case they have, like, I don't know, something wild. I also have a better chance of drawing into Green Suns than I do... I guess we can draw into the 4 Swords instead of the 3 other Green Suns, but the more swords I see, the more happy I am. Alright. So now we have the play of, do we go with a Gilded Goose, which can block the Lackey but dies to a lot of removal, or just hold up Path? And I think here to play it safe, it's probably best just to play the Snow-Covered Plains and Paths. I also want a Path in their turn so the land comes in tapped. It doesn't become untapped. But at least now we get to untap, play a Mana Dork, and then also hold up Path. Skirk's going to be fine. Oh, Wasteland. Not that great yet. So I could play the Goose, which gives me a blocker. It gives me a food, which is nice. Because if I top deck an Oko, I can make that straight away into a 3/3. If I play the Hierarch, it's pretty good, and it also just means it's going to tap for mana all the time. But I think because we have Goose into Hierarch, I don't have to worry about losing its ability to make mana over following turns, because Noble's going to be there anyway. So I like Gilded Goose here. I could go after the Skirk here, but I kind of like keeping the Path for a bigger creature of theirs. They're going to cast a Matron. I don't think I want to Path the Skirk in response, because that just gives them more information about what they actually want to get with the Goblin Matron. That also pretty much puts them on 6 mana anyway for the following turn, so I'm going to let this slide. They get another Skirk Prospector. Interesting. And they have 2 cards left. I'm assuming they run more mountains. I don't think I'm going to Path here, and they're not going to have a creature for it. Yeah, 1 billion mountains. So the question is, if I'm not Pathing here, I'm obviously keeping the path for an actual big threat. But Muxus is just so good at, you know, coming down and getting ETB value straight away. So I think I'm happy. I mean, the best case is yeah, even if we Path and then Wasteland, it's just a 1-for-1 anyway, because they gain a land, so I'm just going to untap. And we can draw into Oko or something. Okay. I think we're definitely playing the Wasteland. That's the land for turn. I don't think we Green Suns for 3 here. There's nothing that we really want to grab. So I think it's between the Oko and I'm going to say it's Oko, but I want to kind of hold up a white source as well, which is interesting. So maybe it's actually play Oko, tick up for a food, and then we have a food for the Gilded Goose and not create a 3/3 this turn. So let's do that. Oh, we actually have to... We have to use the Goose this turn. That's fine. Yeah, okay. Sack this. Play Oko. Tick it up for food and then paths with path up. Got there, thankfully. But yeah, Goblin King's gonna be pretty good. Or the Muxus if they have it this turn. I assume they did. They went for Skirk, so they were obviously playing around any sort of Wasteland effect. All right. There it is. So when it ETBs, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all Goblin creature cards with converted mana cost 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom in any random order. Whenever this attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each Goblin you control. Okay. They could definitely whiff. I've seen Eli whiff a few times, unfortunately, but here they did not. And they also have haste. Oh, we can stop that. Oh, we can't because this gives haste and this gives haste. Rough. Okay, we can deal with the Muxus, but I guess we see how they attack first. Because we can't stop the haste part. Yeah, 2 Lords is pretty good here. So let's bring up the game log. Ah, interesting. Okay, this makes sense. So the Chromox version plays Warren Instigator because then you have the double amount of lackeys on turn 1 because you can Chromox into Warren Instigator. So War Chief, Goblin Chieftain, and Skirk Prospect are attacking the Oko. So Goblin War Chief, which is a 3/3. Goblin Chieftain, which is a 2/2. Okay. Interesting. So I can path the Chieftain and keep the Oko. Because the Instigator and Muxus are coming at me. So I can kill Chieftain and save the Oko. And then it also takes away the +1/+1 to the other creatures. So this actually didn't turn out too bad. Oko goes down to 2, I believe. Another Muxus? That's pretty good. That's pretty strong. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, this is really good. I don't think we even have an out to the Krenko, but we'll definitely play it out. We'll see what happens. I'd love to see how big this board can get. Oh, and they get another one? No, okay. Alright. Knight. Huh. Yeah, I think we just have to concede here and hopefully save some time, because we're actually down 6 minutes as well. Yikes. This is where I really miss the Black Splash, because Plague Engineer is really solid. You get Abrupt Decay. You get Gaea, which is pretty sweet. I don't think I saw anything that really changes how I want to play this out. So I'm just going to submit the same list. Everything seems fine. We just need to draw a verdict? Yeah. Whew. Skirks were really solid there. Ah, another library on the play would be pretty good. Maybe I don't mind taking out like a Teferi. What do I want to go down on? Maybe it's just a... it doesn't matter. My bad. So we get to Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, and then we can play a Scooze on turn 2. Which doesn't do a whole lot. It's an interesting hand. Turn 1 Dryad Arbor, turn 2 Scavenging Ooze. Turn 3 we can go for a Knight, which will be at least a 3/3. Pretty fair. Not really interacting with my opponent. Yeah, maybe the Ouphe just for the Chromox aren't worth it. But at least in this hand, if they do start off with a Chromox start, we do have the Green Suns turn 2 for Chromox. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to see how it goes. It's an interesting hand. I think if this was like for a 5-0, I would definitely consider mulling this hand because I don't have the interaction that I want, like a Swords to Plowshares or an Oko, but this could be interesting. Alright. Go for Dryad Arbor, pass turn. They have 7 minutes on us, which is pretty interesting. I didn't think I'd be talking that long during this game. Goblin Lackey, alright. Brainstorm. Probably okay with just Ooze here. Ooze hold up Dryad Arbor. There's a possibility I wanted to fetch, so that if we drew into a fetch, we can play a knight as a 4/4 off Green Suns. Double Skirk's pretty good. Yeah, there's that land. I think it is just go for knight here. Gonna get a trop because it's a blue source that is also a green source for Skoos. Ooh, Uro is interesting. Probably a little bit too slow. I think it's just another Reliquary here. And then a pass. But yeah, the knight here open to removal, which is pretty rough. I should have definitely fetched on turn 2 instead of playing the Wasteland. Because a 3/3 knight is just so different to a 4/4 knight. Sadly, there aren't. I have played around with like Hushbringer, which is also pretty good against a card like also good against Esper Vial, but sadly there isn't one you can grab with that. You can get it with Fiend Hunter, which is interesting. All right. Hiya. Rough. Ah, the Krenko is just a killer here. I don't think we have an out to the Krenko. So the one downfall that I've found from BANT is not having a sweeper. So at least you could have Plague Engineer. I guess BANT could play something, but it's pretty rough. Like, I don't have outs to these goblins. And now I have to block. Yeah, this game is very much over. It was probably just the hand I kept as well. Maybe I should have really mulliganed to a hand that had removal for the creatures. Because, I mean, they're still at 20. We've done nothing this game. Yeah. Unfortunate. But yeah, I think if I am going to play BANT, even without a Brainstorm version, I do want to have some sort of out to Goblins. Because that's rough. That's really rough. And it's not even that unfair. Yeah. I just don't think that BANT has an answer in regards to answering wide threats other than Supreme Verdict, but playing a creature deck, I don't want to be doing that to my own creatures. Yeah, the Muxus was really strong. I mean, it seems like a turbo kind of version of Goblins, which is kind of cool to go for that Muxus hit early on. But yeah, unfortunately, just don't have a great answer to go wide strategies with BANT. Which maybe seem like maybe a 4-color version with... I guess that just does mean that Plague Engineer is really good here, but Yeah, just don't have a great plan against them, other than try to slow them down and get really aggressive early on, but it is pretty tough. The Brainstorm experiment wasn't too bad. There definitely is a really good argument between Brainstorm and Once Upon a Time. I do like that Brainstorm can find things like Oko, Teferi, Swords, and Sylvan. I usually find with the deck, I usually have the creatures that I want, but I don't have the removal that I want, and Brainstorm does give me some options for that, but yeah, I think it's something that I would play as kind of like a kind of fun deck, but I probably wouldn't take this to a competitive sort of challenge or anything. But Destroy All Goblins, 1 white. I have seen that card, but I think it's sadly a little bit too narrow. But yeah, I think the list is pretty solid. The Brainstorms could be Once Upon a Times. You could play Mother of Runes if you really wanted to, as extra protection as well. But yeah, Brainstorm was pretty cool to play with. There weren't any times where it was like I couldn't cast Brainstorm because I wanted to play on curve, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun deck. I probably will go back to Green White Black for Sunday night, just because I really like Plague Engineer, Vraska, Gaea, Abrupt Decay, all pretty sweet. Yeah, I think Plague is more just to slow most Goblins players down in the early game, and then try to save your actual removal for Lord effects. But I mean, it's better than nothing, so that's really the case. I don't think Goblins is the greatest matchup, just because of their ability to go wide. But if you can have some things that stop that, like Plague Engineer, or hopefully multiple Plague Engineers, then you do have some sort of some hope, which is good. Yeah, the Skirks were really powerful. I think I underestimated how powerful the Skirk Prospectors were. Especially when you really just care about getting your Muxus into play. Your creatures just become really good resources to get it into play as soon as possible, which is pretty cool. But that is me. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter here. You can find all my videos on YouTube here. I'm going to quickly see if anyone else is streaming Legacy at the moment, and see if we can send a raid over. Cherryman is actually streaming. Cherryman streaming came over yesterday, which is nice. So I am going to send you guys over to Cherryman. I think it's /raid. There we go. Nice. A huge thank you once again. My name is Dukes on Twitch. I stream on Thursday nights and Sunday mornings usually, but I'll be back on Sunday evening at around 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I'll hopefully see you then. Enjoy your weekends ahead. Enjoy.